And we are live. This is Across the Pond with Addy Ads and Sam Samworth. We're coming to you bright and early on the West Coast here. Good morning to all my Americanos and to all my UK folk. Good evening. Here again
Good
with
afternoon.
Sam Samworth. How you doing, Sam?
I'm good. It's good afternoon here, mate.
Oh, good afternoon. Sorry, I did my calculation a little wrong. What time is it there?
It's just after 2.
Mm, wow. Yeah, we are definitely at it earlier than usual today. But let's just get into it, Sam. I read chapter 1 of your book, and
Yep.
let's definitely talk about your writing process later. But
Yep.
I just wanted to read a quote. It said, "By Christmas 1984, what with everything going on, I ballooned up to 21 stone, was divorced, and in a very short space of time ended up in a squat. Fortunately, I had another engineering job by then, but otherwise, bare floorboards, no heating, no water or bath, fuck all. I do my
Yep.
12-hour shift at the factory, get showered there either side of it, then pub, chippy, and home at 11. Head down
Yeah.
in sleeping bag. Repeat,
That's,
repeat, repeat. That was my life for 18 months. So I know what
that's
it's
right,
like to be
mate.
homeless, although I did have food in my belly and I was working." And those words are Sam's from chapter 1 of his book, Strangeways, a prison officer's story, available on Amazon and Waterstones. That when I read that, Sam, I was shocked. I wouldn't have guessed that someone like you would have ever been homeless.
Um, I actually, had a couple of houses repossessed. Just unfortunate times out of work and things like that. It can be quite difficult to get somewhere to live sometimes. I'd come
Yeah.
from a mortgage. Trying to get a council property in this country. I don't know whether you have like social housing in America. Do you have social housing?
Yeah, it's called Section 8. Section
Is
8
is that
housing
where
or
where the government provides somewhere to live and then you pay rent on that property?
yep. It's called Section 8 housing, or colloquially it's called the projects too, the project housing. Yep.
Right, yeah. So not many houses. The council now it's different. They used to have long lists though. So your name went on a list, and that could be 3 years before a property came up for yourself. Um, I know at one bit my cousin was on a list. She'd been on the list for about 4, nearly 5 years before she got offered a property. It's changed a bit now. What you actually do is bid on a property, and what that means is you don't actually everyone pays the same rent. But if it's an area where there's young families, if I went for the property, I said like, I'm a 50-odd-year-old man, I'd like this property, and a young family went for it, and it was a family area, then they would probably get it. So they don't have a list as such now. But yeah, it was quite difficult. My friend went through a divorce. He left his family home with his missus and 2 kids. His uncle passed. He said, like my uncle's died or whatever. I've got key to his house, and basically it was just a shell. So he says, "Do you want to come and live here?" I got nowhere to live, so that's all we did. It was literally a bare house, no furniture. For instance, the kitchen, there was like gas pipes, no cooker, and the where the sink would have been, there was just pipes coming out of the floor with taps on. So,
Wow.
but
So no utilities at all.
no, but
No
I was
heat.
lucky. It was somewhere to put
Yeah.
my head down. It
Definitely. Yeah.
wasn't warm, but it was dry. Um, and also what it allowed me to do was save some money. And also my friend, because he was still paying for his family, it allowed us to live cheap. So, sort of get back on our feet. So
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Definitely. And yeah, that's crazy you went through that. I'm sure it made you a stronger person in many ways on the back half of that. But um, you had a job too, and the phrase that kind of stuck out for me was 99 hours for 99 quid.
That was my
It,
first job.
yeah. And you,
Yeah.
you go on to say, this one's not as long. You said it was an eye opener. only 30 lads to 400 women. If you
That's
bent
right. Yeah.
over a machine, you got back scuttled. Your arse
Yeah.
would be purple. One lass took her teeth out and kissed me. I was there 4 years at a time when sexual harassment wasn't seen as a serious issue it is today.
Oh, listen, we were talking about this, Addy, the other day. My mate engineering. That was my first engineering job. And I was in engineering 23 years. And do you know what I'm considering? I'm considering having a go at doing a book. Because if you just look at that first job, honestly, I did 2 years training. So I was probably 18, maybe just 19. You know, the first time they took me around this factory, it was so noisy. I couldn't hear anyone speaking. I did learn a skill there that still suits me now. That's being able to lip read, because literally you can't hear what people. So you'd look at the lips and you learn to lip read. But yeah, you got abused as a young lad. I got abused. I mean, really abused. You know what I mean? The language was foul. The women there were operating machines. They were like filling machines with knife blades. All the lads were fitters. Um, it was quite a difficult job, steady job.
What is
And
fitter? What does a fitter do, Sam?
all right, a fitter. A fitter in engineering will be somebody who keeps a machine running by whatever means. So it might mean that you have to make a part. So, you know, you replace a part to get that machine running again. It's a bit of a generic term. And some fitters in big companies, you know, they'd be fantastic machinists as well. They literally strip something down, make a new gear for a gearbox or something like that. So it's a range of talents. That job was quite a low skill job, as it were.
Okay. So that's what you started out, and you guys were making knives, it sounds like.
That's right. That company's
Yeah.
still going now.
Wow.
I
Wow, that's crazy.
did consider going back there for a job.
Yeah, yeah. And what do you think would have happened if you tried to make some noise about getting spanked or
Oh,
harassed
I'd
or
have got
whatever?
ridiculed. I'd have got
Yeah,
ridiculed, mate. It was.
yeah.
I tell you what it was. Everyone worked hard. Friday night, all the lads went out. You all went out Saturday night. The lasses would go out, so you'd bump into each other, and basically people did long hours, worked really hard, and then just blew it in our pubs at the weekend. You know, you
For
just
sure. Working class.
well, yeah. So yeah, I guess it is. I guess it is.
Not everyone, of course, but yeah, you just go blow off steam. And I just want to double check on a word, Sam. Chippy is dinner?
Chippy, right? A chip shop. You have a few chip shops in America where you buy fish and chips.
Okay.
It's
Gotcha.
a British staple. A chip shop. You can buy fish, chips, other fish products, maybe pies and sausage and things like that.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I have been to a chippy before actually.
there you
In
go.
London. Yeah. I just didn't know
Yeah.
it was a
So
chippy.
but literally, you know, and that is straight up. Honestly, have a shower, leave work. Be 7 o'clock. We'd meet up. Sometimes people would drive to a pub and leave the cars. Just have a skinful, 6, 7 pints, maybe a bit more. Chippy, back to my sleeping bag, and you
Yeah,
know
that's nothing for a big guy like you, Sam, huh? 6 or 7.
well, you know,
For
was
me, that's a
English,
lot, but in college, not so much. But
mind you. And there's some dubious beers in America. When I've
yeah,
been, and had a drink, you know, throw them back, as it were.
what
So
kind of beers do you like, Sam?
me, I like what they call beer in England. There is some now in America. Some of these microbreweries are producing real beer, not lager. Um,
I agree. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm at right now, is actually
yeah.
becoming really well known for their microbreweries and their beer.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, but
So
American beer is I agree. Like I'm not with the Bud Light, Miller Light train or anything like that.
no, you
But
can,
I
that Budweiser, you can just off the pump throw it back.
yeah, it doesn't matter who you are either. You can be a little a 21-year-old having their first beer, and it's not a problem. But
Yeah.
it's funny stuff. Yeah, I agree with you. American beers they're getting better, but they're generally not great. So 99 quid, 99 hours. That is, well, at the time, the value was different than it is now. Do you know what the exchange rate that would be for US dollars at the time,
No
if you
idea.
remember?
It'd
Yeah.
probably be, it'd probably be quite similar. I can't remember how much, the hourly rate was. I do know I bought my first house in 1982. Yeah. And that house was a newish house, a semi-detached house. A lot of our houses, it was joined to another house.
Mm.
Garage, garden. That was £21,000. So maybe then only $23,000 or something like that. And so on that sort of wage, that was about the maximum we could afford, sort of thing.
Yeah. And that, well, I guess just dovetailing that into the prison reform, and we mentioned this last time,
Yeah,
is they just lowered the wages, didn't they, for
yeah,
prison officers?
they have. It went from 29,000 to 22,000 now.
Yeah. And you said, quote, we had nothing. A new pair of school shoes meant hard times. What do you mean by that, Sam?
Oh, well, my mum brought us up as single parent family. She worked what people would probably say, three menial jobs or whatever. She'd be cleaning or doing whatever. But obviously she was bringing us up. So her work, and me, my nan was there and help, but my mum's work was around us. So she'd take us to school and then maybe go and do a job. And I just remember money was very tight. What I meant by that was, if me or my sister needed new shoes, that'd mean there'd be no money. My mum had no money to spend on herself.
Okay,
We
I
were
understand.
quite poor. But she did sort of earn enough money to look after us. She
Yeah.
didn't sort of live off the state. She got some pride in that.
Yeah, that's great. And yeah, I think people who come from single income households and single parent households can definitely identify with that. And it's great seeing people progress in that way too. Um, we've talked for about 12 minutes now, Sam. We actually haven't mentioned, excuse me, the pandemic yet. Any
No,
updates over there in Yorkshire?
well, it's got a little bit more strict.
Really?
The,
Okay.
the police are actually now fining people and challenging people over the
Uh,
journeys. Um, Actual virus news, and it's been reported, our death rate has just peaked. It's very easy to say that. I mean, it's a very sad state of affairs, but it's just sort of peaked. They're hoping that over the next 2 weeks it's going to start dropping. But there's a lot of people that relate to prisons and other things in the community that people don't understand. I know now, friends and family, probably a dozen people who have the virus now or who have had it. Now, my friend, about a
you
week
know
and a
what
half
doesn't,
ago,
Sam? You know a dozen people personally that have it now
oh yeah,
or
at
have.
least,
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
definitely.
Oh my goodness.
My friend was quite ill maybe a week and a half ago. His wife was very concerned and she phoned an ambulance. Do you have like an ambulance service over there? Obviously you
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's for us it's 911. For you guys it's 111, right?
No, 999.
999. Okay.
What 111 is the information helpline, as
Oh,
it
okay.
were.
That's right. Okay.
So his missus really concerned. His breathing went really shallow. He was obviously in a lot of pain. So the paramedics came and they didn't take him to hospital. Not because they're not bad people. Their reasoning was they felt that although he was ill, he didn't need to be in the hospital. They were struggling for space in the hospital. So they had to sort of judge the risk of taking somebody or not taking them. You know, they give his missus good advice. You know, they said if it gets any worse, please contact us.
Yeah.
And
And
like I say,
he's your demographic about?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. You know, and people might not understand that, but I can see where they're coming from. There's also in old people's homes now, homes where old people reside and they have carers looking after them. They're not taking any people to hospital from old people's homes. One, they will probably die if they take them to hospital, because if they haven't got the virus, they will. And also, you know, it's about, you know, caring and looking after people. Some of the homes, my missus works in a dementia home, so then people are obviously quite ill and take more looking after. We have some old people's homes that just look after older people, not necessarily got dementia. They're actually trying to move these people back in with relatives so they can use the home to house virus patients.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So in effect, if they could empty a home, that would become a mini hospital sort of thing.
Right. Wow. And you guys, I haven't read recently. Are you nearing the max capacity, would you say?
Allegedly, this weekend and this next week, it should reach a peak, and they're hoping it'll start dropping off then.
Yeah, let's
Shopping
all
and
hope
things
so.
like that have got no better. It's still the same.
Okay.
Plenty of
What do you mean
food in
by
the
that?
shop.
Okay.
Queuing. Most people now are being sensible and courteous. You get a few idiots who are still not following the rules or whatever, but you're always going to get that.
Of course.
But
Yeah.
generally,
And
as a population, people are like being more caring, more
that's good.
understanding,
Yeah,
you know, and
definitely.
more civil with each other as well. So
Yeah, and that's something I try to do when I go to the grocery stores, make sure that I'm really polite to the cashiers, because I
yeah,
have noticed here that they are getting more on edge, which is interesting because it like we're not really that hard hit. They may have more so to do with people's lack of
attitude.
precautions. Yeah, and because like I said, I'm in downtown of a college town essentially, so it's mostly young people that I'm around, and when I go out, I'm I would say maybe like the last time I went out, maybe 30% of the people I saw had masks, and that's being pretty liberal with that estimate. So
Yeah.
despite that, we're not having a huge problem in this particular county, but they are going up statewide. But
Have your cashiers got screens?
yes, they do have the plexiglass now. I noticed at the grocery stores, which I think is a good idea, especially because not all the cashiers. And to be honest with you, I don't think I saw. No, I saw one. I saw one. I think the not the last time I went, but the week and a half ago when I went, a cashier was wearing a mask. But yeah, they put up the plexiglass now. Um, And it's weird though, because it also depends on what grocery store you go to. If I go to the one right near me, that's almost exclusively young people, so there's like almost no mask wearing. But if I go
Yeah.
to the one like 5 minutes away and I drive there, that's like more established professionals and families and older people, and you do see more masks there, but not by much, to be honest. And that was this week that I went, this past week. So, um, again, I don't know if we're going to pay for that in this state or not. I hope not, but it does seem to be under control in this county. But it is, as I said before, going up statewide. And the people that you know that were infected, Sam, they're all, as far as you know, okay to this point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Vast majority of them have come out the other side. The difficulty for a lot of people is there's not a lot of testing yet in this country. Now, my friend says, you know, he's definitely had flu. You would assume it was the virus. He had a temperature. It was really rough, really painful chest for 6 days. Then he's come out the other side. His missus has shown no symptoms. Obviously, they've been isolated together. The problem is, at what point do you go back to work? And does his missus go back to work? Because
Yeah.
obviously, if he's had it after a period of time, you're clear. But his missus could be carrying it. So without being able to test yourself or whatever,
Yeah.
that's the
You'll never
struggle
know.
for people. So a lot of
Yeah.
people aren't getting diagnosed, but like the people I know, they haven't been tested or whatever.
Yeah.
So
And
they're not
I
in the official figures, as it
yeah,
were.
not to my knowledge, it's not really that easy to get a test anywhere, especially in those
Well,
hard
I
hit
think in
areas.
America, I saw a bit of a news clip the other day. I think they're testing 7.5% of people or something like that.
Yeah, I think
Maybe.
it depends on the state a lot,
Or it might
and
have
the
been
government.
7.5 sort of people in 1,000 or something,
Oh,
which is
okay.
still not,
Yeah, it's not
you know.
enough. Germany is doing, as far as I can tell, and what I've read, the most testing out of all the nations that I've heard, and they're doing that all the way to the end of the month. I read something like 3 million tests or something, just to get a firm grasp on it. And they do have a pretty good handle on the situation, similar to the Asian countries that do, like South Korea.
Yeah,
So, yeah, that's thanks for that update, Sam. And yeah, if anything else comes to mind as far as the coronavirus, please do share. But you did mention that the cops are cracking down a little more on basically people who are breaking the rules.
that's
But
right.
I wanted to show you this particular clip from. Uh, I'll just show you a little bit of it. We don't have to see the whole
Okay.
thing, but because this guy goes off. He's one of your countrymen.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, let me see. So basically, what happened is there was a domestic disturbance call or something,
Oh, yeah.
and he got visited by these police officers. I don't know what the nature of the call was. I couldn't find that out. All I saw was this video, but they busted down his door by force. He'll show it at the end of the video and
Oh,
broke
is this to see whether they're having
a
a social
party.
gathering?
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, look, just leave that aside. I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know all. I mean, I can comment on it. I won't do it in this particular moment, but just the fact that they're not wearing masks in their positions of authority to me is absolutely absurd. It's just ridiculous on so many levels. I mean, what do you think, Sam? Especially the fact that they're doing this during this pandemic, and I just don't understand it, Sam. What do you think?
I don't know whether they've got PPE to wear. However,
Mhm.
I'm sure there's better ways because there's quite a few people there. It's obviously taking up their time to
That's what
decide
he
whether
mentions
somebody.
too, and he says, "Don't you guys have better things to do?" Because as far as I can tell, this guy's alone, so I don't really know what happened. Maybe he's playing music, or yeah, I don't know. But it's just so backwards to me to forcibly break down a door with 5 police officers, none
Well,
of whom are wearing masks in a
I,
pandemic. To like what? It's just I don't, it makes no sense to me.
they are visible. There is a visible presence now. Like the missus is going to work every day, and she's seen cops on the roads now, which she never saw before. She's been followed to work twice. Once from our house, pretty much, all the way to work, which is like 8 miles. As she drove
8
into the home where
miles.
she worked, yeah, as she drove into the home where she works, the police stopped, watched her walk into the home, her place of work, and then turn round, which for me is pointless. If they wanted to know where she was going, they should have stopped her. You know, where you going, work, and they could have gone on with something else, but they followed her for 8 miles.
Yeah.
My other friend, whose wife works on a ward where they're dealing with virus, she was working 12-hour night shifts, 8 while 8. Obviously, exhausted at the end of it, emotionally, plus
Of
physically,
course.
plus wearing all the PPE. So he's dropped her at work at 8 o'clock. The other thing about this hospital is terrible parking. You know, there's nowhere to park.
Hospitals
So
always have terrible parking, don't they?
yeah, they do. So
It
he's
seems like
dropped her at work. As he's left the hospital car park, a cop has followed it. Well, two coppers have followed him. So obviously he's seen him. There's very little traffic on the road.
of course, yeah.
He's got all the way home, pulled on his drive, and they've got out the car and said, "What you doing?" So he said, "This is serious. This is." He said, "So I'm going in my house." "We don't mean that. Where have you been?" He says, "Well, I saw you in my mirror as I've left the hospital. You've followed me all the way home. So, I was obviously coming from the hospital. What were you doing at the hospital and whose car is it?" "It's my wife's car and I've dropped her at work." "Why are you dropping her at work?" "She works on a ward where they're dealing with a virus, 12-hour shifts. She's exhausted, physically exhausted and mentally exhausted in the morning." Yeah. They then started examining the car, the tires and everything, almost looking to find fault, which is not helpful. Again, he's come out of the hospital. He's obviously been there for some reason. Either stop him, ask him what he's doing, where he's going, and go about your business. But what you don't need is that attitude.
Yeah. That's like the Gestapo. It reminds me of a scene from like World War II movie where they're just, they're just harassing the occupied civilians just because they can.
To me, like my missus being followed, pull her over, quick flash of the lights. "Excuse me, where you going?" She's in a uniform. She has a badge. "I'm going to work." That's it. It's dealt with. "Thanks, miss. On your way. No problem." Following rule, and twice this has happened. She's been followed all the way to work and once pretty much all the way home. So,
and where does your missus work again, Sam?
She works in a dementia home. It's in Dewsbury, about 8 miles away.
So and this was one car or two cars? You said it was two coppers, but was it two cars?
No, two coppers, one car.
One car. Okay.
I just don't see the point. I understand, you don't want people just pull them then and ask. It's dead easy. It's not going to need a report. You're not going to have to arrest somebody or something. "Excuse me, where are you going?" "Drop me missus at work. Thank you. On your way." Easy. So
yeah. Well, thanks for that perspective, Sam. Because I'm with you on this one. I don't understand it. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing any of that here in the state I'm in right now. I haven't seen really any instances, as far as I can tell, in the United States, which I think is a good thing. But another thing to take into consideration, and perhaps you can enlighten me on this, Sam, is many Americans own firearms, and I don't know if that's true of English people. Maybe you could help us out here, Sam. Are you guys allowed to buy firearms, or only for hunting? Correct?
You can apply for a firearms certificate. There's obviously rigorous checks on your background, your mental health. If you were to purchase a firearm, there's only certain firearms you can purchase, and they would have to be kept at home in a locked cabinet or safe, a gun safe, with your ammunition kept separate. Very few people own weapons in this country. Obviously, there'll be some illegal ones, for criminality and that, but very little. What I'm actually wondering, and maybe you might have an idea the same, I'm wondering whether crime's actually gone down. The fact that everyone's at home now, whether actually crime has actually gone down. Because obviously, if you're a burglar or a robber, people are at home now, or somebody's going to be at home. Car theft, violence based around alcohol. No one's going to pubs and clubs anymore. I wonder whether the figures, like the pollution people are seeing around the world, Delhi, Delhi, the report of Delhi now that they've actually got a clear sky. It's one of the most polluted.
It's crazy.
So I wonder whether one of the side effects of this virus is that crime has gone down, and obviously pollution. We've already talked. Sadly, we know that, domestic violence and that will probably be going through the roof or whatever.
Sky high. Yeah, for sure. And it's unfortunately, especially in stressful situations like this one, it's almost like a pressure cooker that's the perfect pressure cooker for,
Of
for
course it
that
is.
abuse to happen, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, thanks for that, Sam. That those updates, because I didn't know any of that stuff, and we're glad that your friends are okay and that they've gotten through the virus. But yeah, you are by far the person who has known the most. Like I still, before I talked to you this morning, Sam, just now, I don't think I've talked to anyone so far that has known someone personally that has been affected by this. So that's just telling me that it's just getting, and as you mentioned, it's just getting worse and worse in England. We are
Well,
hoping this week that it does peak and starts
you
to head
also have to look
downhill.
where some of them work. Some work in the prison service, a couple work in the health service.
The
So,
worst places to work in the pandemic, basically.
well, supermarkets and that, before they put the screens up, if you're sat at a till all day, how many people have been going past you, breathing
Yeah.
on you every day and things like that? So,
Yeah, I mean, if I was working there, I definitely would be on edge for sure. And I went into a store last week, and yeah, I could tell right away the cashier was. I don't know if she was fed up with people, but her patience was seemed to be running thin.
smile.
What's the cat's name, Sam?
Goose.
Goose.
Goose, as in Goose and Maverick, Top Gun.
Oh, there you go. My mom would love that. She's a big fan of that movie. I watched that movie. It's probably the first like non PG movie I watched, just
Oh,
because
yeah.
by virtue of my mom watching it a lot. Yeah, Top Gun, Maverick, right? And who is that? Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise. Yeah.
Oh, Val Kilmer's Iceman. Get a grip. You need to watch the
Oh
movie
my,
again.
I do, Sam. Oh my goodness, he is the Iceman. I should know that. But
Tom
let's go back to
Cruise.
your work, Sam. Because I do want to get into your book a little more.
Yeah.
And we talked about how you were homeless, but you were squatting. You worked at your first job was 99 hours for 99 quid, and I guess another thing too, which I didn't know about, but you started at, they called it a forensic center, which is interesting because it's
Oh,
more
forensic
so,
unit. Before I went to prison.
yeah.
Allegedly went to prison, yeah.
Before you did your time.
Yeah, I started in those. It got to be around about 98, 99, 2000, maybe. Maybe nearer
Mm,
2000 than 98. Forensic units are mental health units or hospitals, basically. I
okay.
had a friend who was a prison officer. He did bank shifts. Do you know what bank work is?
Could you explain that, Sam?
Right, certainly. So if you look at our National Health Service, what some nurses do is they sign over. So if you take the local Wakefield hospital, it will have a group of nurses who sign up with them to do extra shifts. They call it bank work. So they might work the normal shifts and then someone might phone up, can you do me a Saturday night? And they
Okay.
get paid, a better rate of pay. It's like working overtime, but
Okay.
instead of the actual place of work paying you to work over, it's like a separate entity.
Okay. Okay. I
So
understand.
as a prison officer, that was his qualification for working in them forensic units. You worked as a nurse support worker. You had proper nurses, mental health nurses, who would administer medication and things like that. And the prison officers, along with the other support workers, they were there as, I'll say hired muscle, but it wasn't hired muscle. You know,
You
they
said it
were,
was a lot more nuanced than that, and that you really put your heart and soul into it, unlike some other
yeah, I
colleagues you
enjoyed it.
had.
When I started, I used to, all mental health units, dementia units, prison, everything like that. You all have a briefing in the morning. Very important, you need to watch this lass over here. She's been on one last night, etc., etc. So it prepares you for the day, and be aware if someone's not in a good mental health state of mind or whatever. So the first nurse I met, oldish woman, she was lovely. She was probably round about 60. She said, read a couple of files of the patients, just at random. Just have a look at them. You don't need to know who it is. Just have a read. Don't read too many, and you'll get an idea of where these lasses, because they're all women in these units, female only. And pretty much it was all about abuse, rape or abused as children, usually by men. A lot of the lasses there had been in other forensic units. We have 3 high secure mental hospitals in this country. We have Ashworth, Broadmoor, which you might have heard of. Have you heard of Broadmoor? No.
I haven't, Sam. I'm more familiar with the prisons than the mental hospitals in England.
And then the third one is Rampton. Now, if you go as a mental health patient to Rampton, Broadmoor, Ashworth, then you're probably extremely unwell, non-compliant with medication, and could possibly be extremely violent, or at the hard end scale of self-harming, something like that. The people who are the most critically unwell. So all these lasses in these 2 units had, this was like their last chance. They'd been to Rampton and Broadmoor and everywhere else, and they couldn't really do anything with them. So they were quite mentally unwell. It was a fantastic place to work. The nursing staff were fantastic. Pretty much all the nursing staff were female. A lot of the support workers were female. Most of the prison officers who did their bank shift there were male. So the thing about mental health, there were a lot of really bad self-harmers. When they used to kick off these lasses, you didn't restrain them like prisoners. There was no sort of arm locks or anything like that. Basically, if someone kicked off, they were trying to harm themselves, you'd restrain them with as little force as possible, and you might well end up holding them down on the floor. You might put a cushion under their head. You might get comfort. I spent a full 12 hours with about 8 other staff holding a lass down, because every time we let her go, she tried to harm herself really bad. So it was a case of laying on the floor, chatting, engaging with her. Would you like a cup of tea? Yeah, she'd calm down. You'd let her up. She'd try and smash her head in or something like that, and then you'd end up sort of restraining her again. But
was she on a drug? Oh, sorry, go ahead, Sam.
The majority of them are quite heavily medicated. They're given the drugs daily, but it's a sort of state of mind. Even when somebody is medicated, they can just go off. And what you find is, very sadly, you might get one lass in the morning who just gets upset, self-harming. By the end of the day, they'd all be at it. They used to almost, it was like the vibes, they picked the vibes up from each other. So if there was 12 lasses on the unit, by the end of the day, there'd be 2 staff with each one watching them, because they were all self-harming and trying to hurt themselves or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was rewarding. It was, go on.
Go ahead, Sam. Go ahead, Sam.
No, it was just, I found it very rewarding. First of all, you could engage with these people. A lot of these people, they taught you. You had to gain the trust, and it was nothing personal. It's just you were trying to provide them, like the missus with the dementia home, with the best possible life, so you were as laid back as much. You could take them in the garden. Some people could be escorted to go shopping for themselves, but it's their home. That forensic unit was their home, so you tried to treat it as such. They'd have their own bedroom and that, but if someone was self-harming at night, they'd be in bed. You'd have the door open enough to make sure they weren't going to seriously hurt themselves, but also to give them privacy. Bear in mind that, you know, there was a lot of male staff and female patients, as it were. But it was
And
rewarding. I enjoyed it. And sometimes, you know, I wish I'd have sort of gone down that line rather than gone to the prison. But, you know, it's your history, isn't it? If I hadn't
definitely,
worked in the prisons, I wouldn't have written a book and I wouldn't have met as many people as I have and things like that.
yeah, we would not
So,
be talking right now. I don't know what I
exactly.
would be doing.
Probably still in bed.
Thanks, Sam. But I wanted to ask you, and you mentioned a couple things. What are the differences that you noticed between male prisoners and female prisoners? Because
I've never
and
worked
how
with female prisoners.
yeah, and how you treat them, and what are the differences that you guys either procedural or unspoken or both?
Right. My friend worked with female prisoners. A lot of male officers I worked with had worked with female prisoners and said they'd never do it again.
Did they say
A
why?
lot of it's a different sort of animal, as it were. A lot of female prisoners, come in, kid. There's a lot more self-harming in the female prison estate. Like the forensic units, a lot more mental health issues. A lot of people have been abused. A lot of the female prisons are not built as securely. For instance, they might have a housing unit with 8 people living in it, so they're not like jail blocks. American female prisons are pretty much like male prisons, aren't they?
As far as I know, yeah, they're pretty much the same, except they have less prisoners.
It's less so over here. There will be, you know.
And what I mean by that, Sam, just to clarify, I've never been to a female prison or a male prison. There's also cultural differences too that I know, and people can look those up. And I'm speaking on just the videos I've seen on the internet in how the female prisoners relate to each other compared to the male prisoners.
Well,
so that's all I can speak on what I know. But continue, please.
There is some call for not to send females to prison. Obviously, if somebody commits violent crimes or whatever, there needs to be a punishment. I think a lot of the female prison estate are what you would perhaps call low risk. There might be a lot of shoplifters, burglars, petty crimes. So I think there are moves of afoot to sort of manage these people better in the community. I think what people need, what everyone needs, is some worth and some purpose. You know, I do talk about that in the book. A lot of these drug addicts that they're released, the time to get hold of them is as they are released. You know, if they're going to get money, if they're going to get social money and housing, then, you know, attach something to that. Get them to go to work for 30 hours a week. I'd love that, me. Give me 10, 15 lads. You know, give me a country park or something that wants painting or clearing, and we'll go and do that. You know, give them a bit of worth and something to get up for in the morning. And I think in the female estate, that's what is needed. I think I get the impression from what people have said and the people I know, and you can read about female prisons, that like almost places of despair rather than the male prisons. So what I'm hoping is when this virus is over, the problems that have been highlighted in prison get resolved, or people will take a step back and say, right, you know, we need to just let me plug this in, mate.
Yeah, take your time, Sam.
Oh,
So we
that's
are
it.
live here with Sam Samworth. This is Across the Pond with Eddie Eds and Sam Samworth. Go ahead, Sam. Continue.
So, you know, I'm hoping that people look at the situations, look at the problems, and maybe address them. So staffing, you'll see me on Twitter, Addy, every now and again. Staff. Without enough prison staff to run a regime and be able to deal with incidents, you know, we'll be back in dark ages like somewhere like they are now, 23-hour bang up which definitely don't work. In modern times, that'd be a crying shame. So first thing anyone needs to do before they reform this and sort education and do whatever they're going to do is get enough staff so they can get prisoners out and start building staff-prisoner relationships up. Once that's up and running, prisoners know they're going to get out. They know it's Saturday and Sunday and it's going to be nice, that they can spend 2 hours on yard or whatever, or have a shower every day. You know, then the level of violence will come down. The anger, animosity, aggression, drug use will come down. Everything will sort of, but it needs a good 12 months with enough staff where prisoners know. All prisoners want to know. They don't always like what you tell them, but they want to know what's happening. So when I was in Strangeways, are we coming out this afternoon for exercise? Sorry, lads, you're not coming out. We ain't got enough staff. They didn't like it, but they appreciated it. What they don't want is it gets to afternoon, someone's kicking the doors, we want as exercise, and nobody's saying anything. But certainly, it needs a good 12 months consolidation. The main thing for me is getting people out. Yeah, getting people out, making sure they get the visits, the phone calls, the showers, their exercise. That's all they want, basic things. You know, you don't have to give people the world, and things will start calming down, start building relationships again. Without that, you know, we aren't enough staff. Forget everything else. Yeah. Forget reforming this and reforming that. It's just not going to work.
Definitely. And
sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, I got an update from Pepsi Watson, and he said that at the Mount, they are flooding their cells because they want to get out, and they're on 23-hour lockdown. So the prisoners are flooding their cells, and he says that there's just like a restless energy, and mental health issues are increasing too.
Of course it will.
Yeah,
it's not good. That's why drug use is up, and people don't understand that. You know, I have got friends inside. I was talking to someone on Twitter today. I've got a friend inside who's never used drugs, never in their life used drugs. They have got quite a. They are a career criminal, but not. Any criminality affects somebody. You know, if you're burglaring homes or commercial burglaries, that's affecting someone's business. So I'm not sidetracking that. But what I'm saying is, he is not somebody who's battering people with iron bars and things like that. I'll tell you what, he's a very clever criminal. Comes into very little contact with people, but will do big burglaries and things and make money.
So, who are you referring to, Sam?
This is my friend. He's in prison at the minute. I'm obviously
okay.
I don't want to say his name and embarrass him.
Okay, I'm sorry. I misconstrued what you said.
No, that's all right.
Who's in prison.
So
okay.
He's now using drugs. So last time I saw him when he was out, you know, I was like, "You never use drugs." He says, "Boredom. It's boredom." He says, "We're locked up all day. It's complete boredom. There's nothing to do. Smoke some spice, pass time, get your meal, smoke some spice, get a meal, watch your film, smoke some spice, wake up, repeat. Spice, meal, spice, TV, sleep, boom. It's a cycle. It's easy. It's just easier.
It passes the time, yeah. And I saw your tweet about that too. You said it might have been a guy that replied to you. 12 hours of sleeping and then 12 hours of being high on spice gets rid of the boredom right away.
It's not good. Listen, that shit is not good. We're talking about spice as a genetic term. We touched on this the other day. The shit that's out there now that people are making is way more toxic than what you used to be able to buy it in England, well, in Britain, and maybe three years ago, £5 a bag, yeah. So you could buy it legally and smoke it. The shit they're making now is 40 times stronger. Instead of decriminalizing it and controlling it, the government outlawed it. So now you can go on internet after this and there will be recipes to make that shit that is destroying people's mental health. You know, some people are having one hit and that's it. They're in psychosis. You know, they might never be normal again. Some people can take it, some people can't. It's like everything.
Yeah,
So,
and yeah, I have heard stories about people going, getting a little psychotic or having an episode when they do take it, and it's very dangerous when something like that isn't controlled. A substance like that, it's not only gonna, make the value of it go up, it's gonna make it easier for people to peddle and mix in their own things, like you said.
well, exactly. That's it. You could buy 3 lots of spice in Manchester town centre,
That's
and it'd be
crazy. I didn't
gone.
know that.
It's terrible.
And you guys can
It's
buy. I
taken
think I
over all
mentioned
city
this
centres.
earlier, but you can buy codeine too in England, which I didn't know. But you can't buy melatonin, which I don't
No.
understand. But yeah, I might have mentioned that on our first podcast, actually. But let's do a little change of pace to something a little
Yep.
lighter. Actually, in chapter 1 of your book, I just want to read a slight quote. One night after I kicked out of the sixth form, a mate and I were off out when a Rover 2000 pulled up. We
Yeah.
knew the lad in it from school. Do you want to
Yeah.
lift? As we pulled
Yeah.
away, this cop car came the other way, and suddenly we were off. He was hammering it. Only then did it dawn on me that the car was not his.
That's right. I remember his name. I won't say his second name. His name was John, yeah? My mate, Teddy Webster, were in car with me. He, unfortunately, is no longer with us. He was a cracking lad.
Rest in peace.
I even
man.
remember the colour of the car. It was cream. It was dead innocent. Pulls up, window down. All right, lads, do you want to lift? We gets in. Bam, that was it. Pretty much straight away. It was off. And I think he got 3 years for that.
Oh,
So,
wow. So you guys did get pulled over.
No, he let us out.
Oh,
He basically had the decency. He just
good
said,
lad.
hammered it round the bend sideways, get out. We got out. He shot off. He got caught. So,
Yeah.
uh,
Wow. That was a
one of
close
them
one for
things.
you, Sam. You almost ended up on the other side of the bars there, possibly.
Well, there's been a few close ones when I think about it. And it's only recently this. When I was 17, I was doing my engineering training. There was a lad who, at the training centre, went to school with Gary Parkin. And we were stood at the side of a brick wall. And they had a little milling machine. You don't have to know what a machine is, but basically it was a small machine. You fasten a block of metal down to that machine, and then the machine runs under a cutter like this, and it takes layers of metal off it. Quite a basic machine. The guy who was operating this machine, bear in mind we were all trainees, put far too big a cut on. Like a machine like that, a small machine, you might have to take a millimeter at a time off, yeah?
Right.
Some of the machines my mate runs, they can take a foot off at a time.
Wow.
Massive, massive machines. Anyway, he put a big cut on it, far too big, and he hadn't fastened this piece of metal down that was about the size of half a house brick. So as we're talking, yeah, this piece of metal shot out between us. And I mean, we were only a foot apart, directly between us, and it's stuck in the wall. If that had bit either one of us, it'd have killed us. And I only remembered that a few weeks ago. It just popped in my head. Because at the time, I know we both went white, and the lad who nearly killed us almost passed out, with shock at what he'd done. So that was one of my 9 lives, mate, I reckon.
That's why you like cats.
Well, maybe. Maybe.
Well, so you got, I don't know how many you have left, Sam. Maybe 6 or 7. So I think you're good for.
No. I've lost a few more than that, mate.
Yeah.
Probably down to about 4 or 5, I reckon. Maybe.
Oh wow.
We can talk about that another day. Right. Do you want to know about the book?
Yes, sir.
Right. I'll cut it short. I don't want to. But if my missus here now, she'd just be like, she's heard it that many times. You know what I mean? She's
definitely
done with it.
Yeah.
So November 2016. I'd just been finished in August by the prison service. Was not in a good place. I was out of work, first time in a long time, got a family to look after, mentally not good. So it was about November time, and I was on laptop Googling, and I thought, you know what? I should write a book. So I started Googling, how to write a book, how to self-publish. And the statistics are terrible. Your chances of getting a book deal are horrendous. It'll tell you something like 1 out of 1,000 scripts gets read. Maybe 1 out of 10,000 might get picked up and you might get a book deal. Might be less horrendous than that, but it's not good odds.
Yeah.
So I looked at my missus and I said, I'm going to write a book. And she sort of looked at me like, what the, you know what I mean? One of them looks.
Yeah.
Okay, love, I understand.
Yeah.
So
I believe
what,
that you believe.
Well, exactly. I believed in myself. I knew I got the stories. So
Definitely, yeah.
when
And
you
I'm
look
reading
at
them
it,
right now. I'm enjoying them, Sam.
there you go.
What was that like? Because it must have been scary to just start writing a book. That it's a huge
let me tell you how
project
it
that you've
happened.
never done before.
Well, let me tell you, a few people have asked, so let me tell you how it happened. So when you have a look, most people, to get a deal, you need to go through an agent. Some publishers will accept work to look at. Most want you to go through an agent. So in order to produce a book, you need a book proposal. That basically is the chapters, maybe a paragraph on each chapter, bit of a synopsis, what it's about, who you are, or etc., and one paragraph in full. So I bought a book from Amazon, How to Write Book Proposals, yeah. So I started reading it and then threw it in the bin because it was shite.
I'm not surprised.
So I decided I would get myself a ghostwriter. I had no idea what this was going to cost. So a ghostwriter is somebody who is a writer. They might have their own work, but they also work for publishers writing books for people like myself, who's an author. A writer can write and they'll have their own stories, some of them. Me, I'm an author. I provide the stories. I work with a writer who wrote those stories up. And
Okay.
that connection's important. So I found a lass called Deirdre Nuttall who lives in Ireland. She had a website. She looked like a nice person. So I sent her an email. I sent off loads of emails saying what I wanted to do. I got a few replies. Lots of people didn't. She actually asked whether she could speak to me. So I spoke with her. She says, yes, I can help you do a proposal. So we arranged to meet up the following March because this was near Christmas. I didn't have any money. So this book proposal that Deirdre was going to do for me was going to cost £1,500, 1,700, 1,750 US. So I had no money. So I had a motorbike. So I sold it on eBay. I sold my crash helmet, all my motorbike gear. I sold everything I got to raise this money. I met her at the airport. We spent the day together. She brought a dictaphone, asked me lots of questions. I talked about the prison service. Cut a long story short, a month later, and the money was well worth it. The book proposal, as we worked together back and forward, that she did me was what I wanted. It looked professional. I touted it around some of my friends and family. Yeah, that's the one. What I needed was, this is my lottery ticket. If I'm sending a book proposal to agents and publishers, I need someone to look at it and think this is professional. Pick it up and read it. When she'd completed it, she gave me a list of publishers and agents. I didn't have no money for postage. 2 were by email attachment. So I sent them off. One of them was North Bank Talent Agency. Guy called them Martin Redfern. He's my agent, yeah. One of his secretarial staff received my proposal and it was on a top of a pile that were due to go in the bin. Yeah. They have what they call solicited and unsolicited scripts. Solicited, they say to you, add the ads, Thank you for contacting me. I like the idea of your story. Send your proposal. Yeah. The unsolicited are what people like me send, and it just drops in their mailbox. So she picked it up, thought, oh, this looks interesting, read it, give it him. He then contacted me. He became my agent. There you go.
Wow.
Deirdre, who did the proposal, when we'd completed it, said, Sam, you have to be patient. It might take 2 years before someone reads this script. Yeah. It was actually about a month before I got myself an agent. So you've got to be in it to win it, Addy. You know, I backed myself. I got an agent. Within a month, he got 3 deals on the table. One of them was with Pam McMillan, who I went with, and the rest is history.
Wow. That's awesome,
Let me
Sam.
tell you
That's
how.
great. Yeah, keep
Let me
going,
tell you
please.
how.
This is fascinating.
Let me tell you how we wrote the book. So I met Pam McMillan, and like I say, I'm the author. I provide the stories. I work with the writer. I will tell everybody that. I put in the back of my book, you know, the people who helped me, my agent, the writer. I put Deirdre in there, thanked her. Tony Hannon's the writer. Believe it or not, in his contract, he couldn't tell anyone he had written Strangeways with me. Yeah. But I've told everyone, so that's fine. Do you understand that? It's real. Do you not find that really strange that he actually
Yeah.
wrote it and did the work, but he would be anonymous unless I wanted to, which I have, give him recognition in my book for the work he did.
Wow.
So he's a
Yeah, because a
fantastic
lot
writer.
of that. Yeah, that's. And I agree, Sam. I like the writing so far. I'm only on chapter 2 now, but that's I think pretty admirable of you to do that because
Well, not really.
no,
My
what do you
nan
think,
always
Sam?
said credit where credit's due. Deirdre
Yeah.
did me a fantastic proposal. So let me tell you. So I went down to London and met a few authors. Yeah, Tony was one of them. Now, how I imagined a book, there would be a chapter on drugs, a chapter on this, a chapter on that. That's how I saw it. When I met him down at Pam McMillan with my agent, he came in, introduced himself, a Yorkshire lad like myself. So that's good, isn't it? Because we speak the same language.
Of course.
He started asking me questions. Sam, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about this. So after about 5 minutes, he said to the publisher and my agent, we need to do a memoir. So basically, we tell Sam's life story leading into the prison. So this was about August 2017. So beginning of September, Tony gets in touch with me. At this time, he didn't have a contract with Pam McMillan to write the book. So I've got a contract, but he hadn't got one. He says, let's sit down and do the book. So we arranged to meet Junction. I know you don't know this. It's a motorway from Manchester into West Yorkshire, yeah, the M62. Junction
Okay.
24, there's a big hotel called the Holiday Inn. He says, we'll meet there 10 o'clock Monday morning, maybe while 2, 3 in the afternoon, see how we get on. So the first week, 10 o'clock, we got ourselves a Americano coffee. He put a dictaphone in front of me and I talked for about 6 hours. Yeah. That happened Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. What he did, he listened. And then now and again, he might ask me a question. You know, just fill something in a bit more detail. What's this? What's that? Obviously, with prison, he didn't know the terminology. So if I said PO, he'd say, what's a PO? And things like this. So that's Monday to Friday. The second week, we did exactly the same, right up until Thursday. So we did, I don't know, 30, maybe 60 hours of me talking, him asking me the odd question, telling my life story. On the Thursday, as we finished, he says, right, last day, a little bit structured, and there's no notes or diaries here. I just started from when I grew up through school, engineering, into the prison. The last day, a little bit more structured, you know, we could do a story on this and we need to know this. So that's it. 2 weeks, he's got his dictaphone full of my life story. On the Monday after, Ingrid who was the publisher, Ingrid Connell, lovely lady, phoned me. She says, right, Sam, we're going to give Tony a contract. You can start working on the book. So I said to her, we've done it. She went, what do you mean? I said, we've spent the last 2 weeks. It's all done. Tony's got the dictaphone. He's got the 50 hours of me talking. So she was like, you know, over the moon. He had 3 months to transcribe that and put it into a story. Normally, a writer would get 18 months to do that. 3 months he had. He started October, finished at Christmas. So then the script went to the publisher, and Christmas to March 2018, I worked with the publisher then, fine-tuning it, little bits out, putting little bits in, trying to make it as accurate as possible, you know, just tidying it up, really. That finished in March, and then it got published in June. So from original concept to actually getting published was about 18 months, which is unheard of.
That's
So
record
I was very
time,
lucky,
isn't it?
but I did back myself, you know, and put myself in that position. So there you go.
And like you said, you got to be in it to win it. And
Of course you have, mate.
sometimes all
I
you
backed
need is
myself all the way.
yeah, definitely. And sometimes all you need is that little, like you said, it was just laying on the top of the pile, and sometimes that's all you need. And I think you deserve it for sure, Sam. And that's really interesting. I didn't know that that's how it worked, but I do know. The only thing I knew is that I heard that 6 months was a short time to write a book. But 3 months, that is ridiculous. And why did they give him such a short deadline?
They wanted to get the book out because prisons were current. You know, they wanted to get it out there. The thing is about Tony as well, right? It's written in Yorkshire. If you understand my accent, he captured what my friends have said. I was speaking to one of my school friends, lifelong friends, yesterday about when he read the book, because his missus has just read it. So his missus doesn't know me, but she enjoyed it, but he obviously does. He said, and a lot of my friends have said this, it's like you're in a pub and somebody's telling a story, you know, like the life story. But he also said, you know, when I was reading it in your voice. He said he's captured your voice perfectly, which he did. You know, the phrases and how I talk, he captured perfectly. So, like I say, Tony Annan, top writer, credit to him.
Yeah, I noticed that, Sam, and almost immediately, and I was like, wow, the diction and just the way it's written, like you said, it is very, very colloquial, you know, and colloquial for you, like you said. Say it again, Sam.
Can you tell that reading it yourself?
I mean, I can't tell that it's specifically Yorkshire because I'm not familiar with that, but I can tell that it's written in
in an accent.
Yeah, like a colloquial way, I would say, where just like everyday speech, as opposed to you know, I guess the extreme end would be super verbose academic jargon, and the other end is what just scribbling what comes to your mind, maybe. I don't know, but I really like that meeting point in the middle of good writing plus written in a way such that, you know, it's easily grasped by the commonplace person who, even if you don't read regularly, you can pick up the book and read into it pretty easily.
Right, it's very interesting that, being an American, looking at it, you can see that some of the criticism, which to be fair is only a small amount, which, you know, people are entitled to opinion, but some of the criticism, if you look on Amazon, is that it isn't written very well and grammatically. And I think people have looked and they don't actually understand that is written exactly how I speak. You know, it's not being put in Queen's English for people to understand. It is written as I speak, as a characterization. The fact that my friends, when they read it, or Yorkshire people, can see that it's got them Yorkshire colloquialisms, and my friends, because all my friends have said when they read it, you can't help reading it in your voice, you know, in your head. then these people who've looked at it and said it's poor English or whatever don't understand that, you know, how it's been written. I think they're looking and thinking the grammar's poor or whatever.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a little
it's
snobby in my opinion. I mean,
well,
I don't really read books for, you know, to look for grammar mistakes, because even the best, like I've seen like pretty much all my favorite writers, like I'll find a mistake like once every 1,000 pages or whatever, and
yeah,
you
of
know,
course.
it's about the content too. And that being said, it does have to be written well, but it is written well, and it's very. I like it. It's cool. It's unique because every writer has their own voice and own way they write, and I don't think there is any one particular way to
Which is
write
good.
necessarily. Yeah, as long as you're communicating the message, right?
But the thing is, this writer, like I said, Tony Annan, credit where credit's due, has written it in my voice,
Yeah,
which takes some doing in itself, you know, because you've not got to be repetitive or anything like that. But the fact that people see it, and that's gone over some people's heads, but a very small percentage. So, you know,
yeah,
fair dues. The other
yeah,
thing, the other criticism, I mean, one woman, she said, I couldn't get past the first page. The language is disgusting and there's no need for it. When I worked with, oh God, her name's just gone, Deirdre, doing the proposal, the first proposal she did, when I met this lady, right, she was a nice lady. I spent a day with her. I didn't swear once because I didn't know her. You know, you
of
wouldn't
course.
just meet someone, a nice lady or nice man, and start speaking, you know, like coming on here and expletives after expletives. There's no need. So when she did the first book proposal, although it was written really well, it hadn't got that harshness of prison. So we then had to start introducing swear words and the sort of roughness and, you know, and that sort of aggression into it, which took a bit of doing, but she was very understanding. But you know, if you took the language, it won't work. It's a tough environment. It's a violent environment. It's very unforgiving. It's, you know, it's quite dark. Some of the traditions there, everything, you know, it is what it is, and it needs that roughness to sort of. A lot of prison officers who've read it, right? My friends and that, you know, obviously really nice. Whether that's because of my friends, I don't know. But what a lot of people have said who don't know me, and there's a few on Twitter, is the last couple of chapters that everyone, to understand a prison officer, should read them. That's about my sort of mental downfall and that, and also how it affects your families. So at some point soon, I'm going to go and read the book myself. You know, now it's done with. It's a couple of years since it come out. I'm gonna have a read myself, just to see what sort of effect it has on me now. Because when you're working on it, I didn't actually read the book in book form because from sort of January to March 2017, I was reading scripts in A4 format. You know, you're working
Yeah,
on them, you're trying to get detail in there, and I just got fed up and sick to death of the script.
yeah,
So maybe, you know, sometime soon, we're in lockdown, I'm going to pick the book up and have a read myself just to see,
definitely.
you know,
Yeah,
what I
that
think
would
about
be
it now.
interesting to check back in with you after you do that, because yeah, that would be such a crazy experience. Like I can't even imagine that myself. Like reading my own life story, you know, kind of, or part of it, you know. So
Well,
yeah, that'd be interesting to see how you react to that.
the other thing is, the other reason I read it, if I'm going to be honest, is when I were reading the script, some of the stuff is what you call close to the knuckle. You know, I hadn't held back. I didn't have to make things up. You know, how it made me feel and that, I've put it out there. You know, if I was tearful and it's all in there. So
Definitely.
when you read that as well, you also feel a little bit vulnerable. The fact that you're putting that out there for other people to read.
Oh yeah.
So that's probably another reason why maybe I haven't written it. So
Yeah, I've noticed that too with my own videos. Sometimes I won't like, I'll like put off watching them because I don't like
there you
watch.
go. It's the same sort of thing.
Yeah, it's like I don't really like watching myself sometimes, you know, and Anyways, we got a question actually, Sam, and this actually reminds me of, because I was going to bring it up. You used to be a, it's not masseuse, it's masseur.
Yeah,
Masseur,
I
which is
did. Yeah,
a male masseuse essentially.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. How did you get into that? I never would have guessed that you would have been a masseur.
Right. It was about 1998. I got divorced. I was I got divorced from my wife, which was an amicable divorce. You know, we didn't sort of. It was just sort of, you know, people start going the different ways in life. You know, it happens in relationships. So I was at a bit of a loss. So one of my friends said, "Why don't you come to college, do a Swedish massage course? I'm taking it." So this lass had done loads of physio on me. She was a physiotherapist, loads of physio it passed when I played rugby. Um, because her ex-husband was part of the rugby club setup where I was at. So she was really good. She'd never take money, but she sorted me bad necks, bad backs, and all that out. She was lovely. And she was taking the course. So I went on the course. I did that course, which I really enjoyed. It was all females apart from me.
Apart from
So
the big bald guy.
yeah. So there was 17 of us. So the very first night, she showed us a bit of massage. And then she says, right, pair off and work on each other. I knew what was going to happen. Odd number. So there's 8 pairs of lasses, and I'm just stood there on my own. So she called them all back into the middle of the room. She says, right, let me explain something to you. There's only one male in this group, and he has different bone and muscle structure and will feel different to all you guys here. So if anything, you want to be partnering up with him. So after that, you know, everyone was always wanted to do my back and that, which was fantastic.
You had 8 women fighting over to massage you.
16, yeah.
Oh,
Great.
60. Oh, yeah, 8 pairs, right? Yeah.
So I did that course. Then while I was doing that course, there was beauty therapy. It was a beauty therapy college. Another lass used to come into class who did aromatherapy. So she says, why don't you come on the course? Again, all females, just myself. Then I went on to do Indian head massage, did a reflexology course, did some Reiki healing, universal healing.
I
And
read that,
then,
and Reiki, is that how I pronounce it?
yeah, it is.
Reiki. Okay, in my head it was always Reiki, so I got that
I'm,
wrong.
I'm
But
going to
that's
give you
the
some homework. Have a read up about Reiki. And next time we speak, you can ask me questions.
yeah, definitely. I know someone who does it, and I've been wanting to ask her
There
questions,
you
but
go.
I haven't
So
seen her
have a
recently.
read, see what you think, and then you can ask me them questions. But I had
Definitely.
my own business for a couple of years above a
Yeah.
hairdresser's, and pretty much all my clients were female as well. So it's quite a tough gig for a male masseuse because obviously female,
Masseur.
yeah, they've got to feel comfortable with you. So it used to make me super nervous because, you know, you want to know what's going to go on, what they leave on, what they have to take off, etc. But, you know, it was great. What was really difficult, though, I'd have had to have, you know, a book full of clients. It was really hard. I was always, because I had no money to start with, I couldn't advertise. Um, you know, it was just difficult. Although I had regular clients and I got on with all my clients, you know, if I'd have been in a clinic, if I could have worked in a clinic where people come to you for massage, it'd be more well and good. But all the clinics in Sheffield were female clients and female masseurs. So
They weren't interested in hiring masseurs.
not males, no.
Wow.
So, you know, if I
So
could have got in somewhere, it'd have been great. Because once I met people, don't get me wrong, and I had clients as young as 16 to sort of 80. And
wow.
once some were nervous, you know, because people sort of bought them a treatment and they come, they expected me to be female because it was called Sam as well. And then when I sort of, they'd be like, "Oh my god!" But you put them at ease, and then you know you got a decent friend and a lifelong customer. So it was
That's
good.
awesome.
Enjoyed
Yeah.
it.
That's great. Yeah, and during that time, that was that your only job, or was that basically
No,
a
I was
side
I was
hustle?
teaching in the community. That's Boo Boo. That our
Boo
Sphinx.
boo.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never seen one of those before
Have you
in
not?
person. I guess this isn't technically person, but
Yeah. Say hi, Boo Boo.
hi boo boo.
Yeah. What was we saying then? Yeah, I was teaching in the community aromatherapy courses, and I was also a bouncer. So I did my massage in the day. I was bouncing at night, and the
I'm not
people,
laughing at you, Sam. I'm laughing because you would never expect a bouncer to be a teacher of
someone looking like
aromatherapy
me, exactly.
who
Someone
also looks
looking
like
like
you, who also is a
exactly
masseur. Like you would never guess that. But once you get
people.
to know you, you're like, oh, I
They
could see
see,
that.
yeah, you can now, but through my life, like you can imagine. One woman, she was a policewoman, said, I'd like to pay for a massage for my mum. It's her birthday. She lived in Derbyshire, which was on the outskirts of Sheffield. So I said, does she live on her own? Yeah. How old is she? 65. I says, what's she going to think when I turn up on door? You know, walk up a garden path, 6 foot, 17 and a half stone, bald head, come to give you a massage. She says, my mum's quite open-minded. Don't worry about it. So I went, I knocked on the door, dead polite. She says, can I help you? I says, yeah. Your daughter has paid for a massage. She went, oh, how lovely. Come in. I set up, explained what had happened. She had a full massage. Bless her, deep sleep. She fell into a deep sleep. So much so that I was fearful of waking her. So I covered her up, left her on my bench, locked the house, put the keys through the door. When I got home, I phoned the daughter and said, it all went well. I left her asleep. When you get a chance, would you pick my bench up and drop it back off at the salon? So all good, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that sounds like a home run to me.
There you go.
That's great, Sam. I love it. Well, do you have any final wrap upping thoughts before we close up, Sam? Because I do want to be respectful of your time. And the sun has come out here, which is great
Yeah, it's
during our
beautiful. I'm going to
chat.
sit outside for a bit. Jot down a few thoughts about my engineering career, I think. No,
Yeah,
you do your own work. Have a look at Reiki.
definitely.
Uh,
And I will continue reading your book as well. I'm
yeah,
just started
give it a
chapter
couple of
2.
days. What day is it today? Monday.
Today is Monday, the 13th of April.
Maybe do Wednesday or Thursday, then we'll have a few updates and away we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. Let's try to shoot for Wednesday, Sam. So we're gonna try to shoot for Wednesday or Thursday for our next Across the Pond. And I
Sweet.
also will be talking with John Wedger as well this week, guys. So be
Yeah.
on the lookout for that. Sam, thank you so much for chatting. And until
Always
next time,
a blast.
cheers, brother.
See you later, dude. Take care.